Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondy Blue, and I am back for This Is Us. All right, y'all, I'm going to actually be doing this episode in order. Normally, I like to go ahead and separate it based off the time period that we're talking about in the episode. There's usually always 2 or 3 different timelines, whether the kids are young, teenagers, or adults, okay? This time, the episode was centered around Randall and him dealing with anxiety and all his years of dealing with anxiety. So we're just gonna take it blow by blow. All right, see how this works out. Let's get into it. So the episode starts off with Jack and Rebecca trying to get the big three as like toddlers when they first get their own beds, trying to get them to stay in bed for the night. Now, Rebecca isn't feeling well, so she ends up taking some cough syrup and passing out. And Jack is the only one staying up late watching The Shining, waiting on the kids to come out and say they can't sleep. The first one who says they can't sleep is Randall. Randall is having a hard time with the monsters under his bed, but Jack tries to comfort him and put him back in the bed, but doesn't really work the first time. Then we fast forward to present day, and it picks up where the last one left off, which was with Randall coming face to face with is seemingly a meth head robber that has just snuck into his home. Randall tells him, hey man, just to let you know, I'm a city council member. He takes his billfold out, throws it on the island and says, just take the money and leave, but I'm letting you know you're not about to get past me. Now the dude had a knife and it was shaking like this. I'm like, yeah, he looked like a dirty drug addict. So he takes the billfold money and runs out the back door, leaving Randall to think that the man had only been in the kitchen and living room area, that he hadn't actually been upstairs. We find out later on that that wasn't true. But Randall had to call the police. Of course, this upsets the entire household. He told the police they didn't have to check upstairs because he stopped the robber before he went up there, but like I said, that wasn't true. But vital part of the story, that nobody checked upstairs to see if anything was actually missing at the time of the robbery. So the girls are upstairs with Beth, and Annie is scared, wondering if the robber will come back, and they all assure her that he won't. But the police told Randall that it's definitely a possibility that they come back within the next few days. So then we see teenage Randall having a dream where he's screaming at Rebecca, who's outside the house in the middle of a storm, pruning her flowers or something. And he's like, Mom, come back inside. Come back inside. But she can't hear him. She's just oblivious to him. And I think this is like when you have a witch on your back or whatever they call it. I forget what they call it, where you're sleeping and you keep trying to wake yourself up, but you can't wake yourself up. That's happened to me quite a few times. So I was it sleep apnea? I'm not sure. I think that might be what it's called, but I could be totally wrong. But either way, caused by anxiety, and that is what Randall has been going through for years. And the first time we see it is him as a teenager, right after Jack dies. He's in his dorm rooms in college, and he's having this dream, and he wakes up because of a fire alarm. He runs to Beth's room, and she's in there chilling with her homegirls, and he's like, we gotta go. And she has to get him to snap out of it and realize that it's just a fire drill. There isn't a real fire. And she has to like comfort him, and he's, breathing all hard and sweating. It's a lot. So adult Randall told Beth to take the children to a hotel for a night or so he can get the alarm system put in and get the window that was broken fixed. So it's 2:25 a.m. and he's sleeping in the house alone with his golf club sitting next to him at the nightstand. So he can't really sleep. He starts to just walk around the house checking rooms with the golf club. You can tell that this anxiety has really gotten to him. Y'all, I've never had anybody get in my house, but I've had somebody steal from me. And out of my car, I've had somebody steal out of my car. I've had somebody steal my cell phone. It is so invasive to see people take things from you, or to know that somebody has been in your personal space. It is so invasive, and it makes you feel so unsafe, and it doesn't matter who you are. That disrupt in your safety, that disrupt in your bubble. Somebody came into my bubble without my permission and took things from me, and it could have hurt my family. That feeling is so scary, and I think Randall thinks that he's just supposed to go along and act like everything's okay, but it's not, and it shouldn't be. But Kevin calls. He's in Pittsburgh. Sophie's mom just passed away, and he's there for the funeral. Randall tells Kevin about the robbery and how he was coming home from the airport. He went and checked on everybody, came downstairs to get water, and there's a meth head about to rob him in his kitchen. Kevin asks where he's coming from, and he's so, worried about what's going on. He almost forgot he's supposed to be lying about what's going on with Rebecca. He was coming back from California with Rebecca. So he says that it was just a business meeting that he had or something going on with city council, but he pretends as if it's not about Rebecca because Rebecca still wants them to hide everything. So you have to tack that onto the anxiety as well. Then we see teenage Randall talking to Rebecca about these weird dreams that he's starting to have right after Jack died. And then Kate comes in on the phone with her abusive boyfriend. Obviously, something in their conversation made both Randall and Rebecca kind of stop and look at her. Then Kevin and Sophie arrive early for Rebecca's birthday dinner. And Randall's dreams have to take a back seat, but the anxiety is still so bad. He runs outside and he has to, kind of take a deep breath and recenter himself. But it just kind of showing us over the years how many times he's let this issue kind of go unchecked. Then we see 5-year-old Randall being comforted and put back in the bed by Jack. And Jack says, you know what, I'm going to sleep on the side of the bed until you fall asleep. So that's what he does. Jack is laying on the floor on the side of the bed, hoping that Randall will go to sleep. But Randall's eyes are wide open. And he was even checking to make sure his dad was still there, like throughout the night. Adult Randall wakes up at 2 a.m. again. Beth and the kids are back in the house. And he goes to work tired, completely distracted and exhausted with everything that's going on. The next day, he's supposed to have a town hall meeting where all of the district members will dig in his ass about the fact that he's approving this new housing bill, which will bring in condos and expensive apartments and then lift the rents for everybody that's already in the community. Basically, gentrification. Jaywan wants to postpone the town hall, but Randall doesn't want to. Y'all know Randall is the consummate professional and does not like to put his business on hold for his emotional situation. And he really needs to. Okay, he needs a vacation. Then Darnell, Malik's dad, comes walking in because he's a business owner and he wanted to talk to Randall about the housing bill. But Randall keeps getting distracted by the security app on his phone buzzing every time somebody walks past their front door. It's the sensitivity thing. Like, even sometimes outside on mine, a leaf will fall and the ring will pick it up as if somebody's at the door. Somebody comes to the door, the ring act like you don't see him until the person and walked away. I say, hey, you know what? Okay, y'all need to get it together, ring. But either way, it makes Darnell feel as if Randall isn't interested in what he's saying. So he says, you know what? We'll talk at the town hall meeting. Maybe you'll be a little bit more interested in what I have to say then. I was like, oh Lord, this energy between Darnell and Randall is so unsettling to me. Why? Why? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? So teenage Randall and Beth are studying, and it's the end of the night. Beth wants to go back to her room to sleep, but Randall asks if she can stay because he's been having these nightmares. He hasn't really been getting that much sleep. So she says, okay, fine, but the next soundtrack you play, because he keeps wanting to play like the classical soundtracks from these movies from Braveheart. And she was like, put on Waiting to Exhale soundtrack. I'm going to go get some pajamas. I'll be back. I said, no, that's right. Everyone falls in love sometimes. Sometimes it's wrong and sometimes it's right. For every win, someone must fail. But there comes a point when you'll exhale, yeah. Say, shoot, 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 babe, do well. My love now. Come on now, y'all. Sometimes you'll laugh and sometimes you'll cry. Life never tells us the winds are wise. Y'all ain't gonna keep doing it. I ain't gonna keep doing it. But that soundtrack, okay? That soundtrack to this day. But anyway, they go to bed. And he has another nightmare where He's at the dinner table for his mom's birthday dinner, and his dad is supposed to be dead at this point. Beth's sitting there, it's everybody sitting down at the table, and he's like, but he's supposed to be dead, but he's supposed to be dead, and they're just ignoring him, and he's just screaming and not being heard. And he wakes up out of his dream, and Beth is there to calm him. Okay, so then we see adult Randall getting home that evening from work, and the alarm is blaring. Okay, Beth is there saying that she forgot the code, and apparently Annie must have opened the window and tripped the alarm system. So he tells her what the code is, which is his parents' anniversary, and Beth is like, we need to change that to our anniversary, Randall. Like, I was like, right? But he's like having a moment. Like, he's having a full-on anxiety attack in silence. Like, not saying anything, but just kind of having this moment where he has to sit down and catch his breath. And then they show us Randall not being able to sleep at all three ages. As like a 5-year-old, teenage and college Randall, and adult Randall now. The next morning, adult Beth tells Randall that it's okay for them to go back to normal because he has all, the bats and golf clubs and all his weapons all around the bedroom. And she's like, it's okay for us to go back to normal. The kids are going to go and have dinner at their friend's house, and I'll see you tonight for the town hall. He asked her if she really wants to come because he knows that it's going to get, pretty nasty in there. And she says, oh, yeah, I'm coming, even more so I can support you and I can stun on them with my topaz earrings. Well, she goes to where the earrings are supposed to be and realizes that they aren't there. He goes and checks his cufflinks that he hasn't worn since the inauguration. They're not there either. And this is when he realizes that the burglar, the robber, actually was upstairs in their bedroom and just kind of took things that were out in the open, and that he could have done something to Beth and the girl. So now he's having this moment where he's like, I should have made the police come upstairs. Oh my God, what was I thinking about? Like, he's stressing out, and he's about to call the police. And she says, okay, call the police. But I need for you to recognize that this has been a crazy week for anybody. And you and I need to have a conversation. We need to talk about everything that's going on, okay? So tomorrow, I need for you to take time off. I'm going to clear my schedule. You need to do the same so that we can have a conversation, okay, Randall? And he agrees, but I feel like once again, this will get away from them the way it did times in the past. So, as we all thought at the town hall meeting, everybody is going in on Randall. They thought he was for the people. Will he be paying for the rent increase? And then he's got his app, his security app going off, buzzing and everything, and he is definitely not focused. The people are not pleased with Randall at all, and Beth is sitting there with this look of worry on her face, and we just like, oh my God, Randall, pull it together. You know what I'm saying? He keeps kind of going in and out of this fog. It's like, come on, Randall, pull it together. Randall needs a joint. But Randall assures the crowd that he would not support this bill if he didn't believe that it was good for their district, and they all just need to trust him. And I'm like, you're a politician. Nobody trusts politicians. That wasn't the thing to say. So that night he has another dream about the robber coming into his bedroom and touching Beth, and he's screaming, but she can't hear him. There's no noise coming out. There's nothing he can do about this man who's coming to their bedroom and is touching his wife. Yo, like, I totally understood. Let me tell y'all something. This is us, post-production, editors, the shooting staff, the producers, whoever has decided to do these shots the way they do. I take my hat off to y'all. It's the same thing with how they did Rebecca on the Thanksgiving episode, where they do the shot, they do the scene in a way that is trying to invoke the feeling for the viewer just as it is for the character. And I think that is so excellent for them to go about it in that way, because the point got across perfectly. When he was laying there screaming, I totally understood how he felt. There have been so many times where I have been in his house, if Lyric isn't here and I'm sleeping, sometimes I'll get scared. Like, I'll feel like somebody's going to walk in. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's going to walk in and I'm not going to be able to move. I've had this dream so many times, y'all, where I'm laying in the bed and somebody's walking in and I can't get up. I can't move. I can't get up. Like, so I know the fear. I know the feeling. The next morning, when Randall and Beth are supposed to, be having their talk that day, he goes for a run. And he runs into Darnell when he gets out the door. And Darnell kind of wants to have a conversation with him. Darnell says Malik told him about the robbery. And if it were him, he would be flipping out and having a hard time just like Randall is. That's why he didn't go in on him at the town hall meeting, because he found out what happened. Randall is trying to brush Darnell off, and Darnell is trying to be like a friend or be helpful. And Randall is just brushing him off. Oh, I can talk to Beth about anything. Oh, I know how to deal with my issues. I usually run to regain my composure. And Darnell is like, well, you didn't seem to have regained your composure at the town hall meeting or in your office when we met the other day. So they sit down on the stoop, and Darnell tells him that maybe he should look into going to therapy. For him, he started talking to his pastor, and that eventually worked its way into him going to therapy just to talk about things so he can get them off his chest and not be so built up and so angry. And as black men, you know, he said men of a certain shade, they don't really like to talk. They don't vocalize. And in doing so, they just kind of keep everything bent up until it starts to show itself in other ways. But Randall, you know, oh, I don't need therapy. I can deal with my own issues. I'm just going to go run. Okay. All right, Randall, go run. Me and Darnell were both like, all right, brother, if that's what you need to do. But he goes and runs. And while he's running, a woman is being mugged. And this guy is trying to take her purse. And Randall runs up, hits the guy, and, you know, hits him a few more times to kind of disable him. And the lady calls the police. Well, now Randall is a hero. But Randall is also having a nervous breakdown. So teenage Beth and Randall talk about his nightmares in bed that night when he woke up. He explains to her how it started after his dad died and how it's so stupid. And she says, it's the farthest thing from stupid, Randall. I dealt with the same thing when my dad died. I would keep feeling like I couldn't breathe. And, you know, her father died from lung cancer like mine. So she was having these dreams as well. And it didn't stop until she went and talked to somebody. And y'all, she said the most beautiful thing to me. She said, now I look at the dreams I have of my dad as me creating new memories with him. And that made me want to cry. I was like, writers. Give it up for the writers. Because I'm just saying, y'all, like, that is such amazing way to vocalize the feeling of losing a parent or losing someone, period, in your life, and feeling like the story ended when they died. But then when you realize that you have these dreams that create these new memories of them, even if the memories aren't in real life, they're still memories. Like, I would consistently have dreams of my grandfather after he died, and therefore created more memories to attach him to in my mind that weren't just when I was, 5 years old, but also later in life when I dreamt of him, and how the dream that I had about my dad was the same as the dream I had about my grandfather. Like, it's a real thing to me. Your subconscious and what your mind goes to in your dreams can sometimes be very real. I'm going to say it like that. Very, very real. She suggested they go to a grief group and, just get him to talk about things. And they'll go before Rebecca's birthday dinner. That's the plan. But when they're getting ready to go to grief group, Randall gets a phone call from Kevin saying that something happened with Kate and they're coming to pick him up because they got to take her to the hospital. I'm guessing that this is when Kate was having her issues with that abusive boyfriend. I'm like, finally, when is somebody going to give us the story? So then we see, little kid Randall waking up as soon as Jack leaves out of his bedroom. And he turns around and he tells him, look, bud, you're the good kid, okay? You're the good kid. And your brother and your sister are a little high maintenance. So please go back to being your good self. Get in your bed and go back to sleep so me and your mom can have a chance. And even though I understood what Jack was saying, there is a piece of me that instantly felt like, oh, he's supposed to be the good kid and he's supposed to, in some way, have to take the brunt of things because he's the black kid. And I know that may not be what it is, y'all, but I just want to tell y'all where my my situation went. And I do understand, like, it's a duality at the end of the day, because when you are the good kid, they do look at you like, oh, you're going to be all right, so we can focus more on these headaches that we have. Fine. But at the same time, you end up putting more anxiety and more stress on the good child because they feel the need to always show up as the good kid, even when they don't feel that way. And Randall, having this anxiety and his need to be a people pleaser all his life, it brings me right to this moment. This moment where 4 or 5-year-old Randall is scared and doesn't want to stay in his bed. So Jack tells him that he's the good kid and he has to remain the good kid because they got to deal with Kevin and Kate asshole ass kids. Okay, look, I'm sorry, but they are. Okay, they're both asshole kids. And I just kind of felt like, wow, like, just as being a black person, black people have to always check our emotions in a way that white people don't have to. White people have room to move around in their emotions and have negative things happen and positive things happen and still not be viewed in a negative way because of it. Black people, especially like, black men, I say that for black men, but I was like, well, black women, we can't be angry. We can't cry. We can't be emotional. But a white woman, I've dealt with this on the job, cry at the drop of a damn hat. And all of a sudden everybody, is, oh my God. But let the black lady cry. Oh, she's having a nervous breakdown and we don't know what to do about that. Like, we can't cry. Another thing is that we've kind of been trained as black people not to show weakness in front of white people. So we won't cry in front of y'all. We won't give y'all the satisfaction. Okay? We'll get home and cry to our family, to our husbands, our wives, whatever, but we will never cry in front of y'all. Y'all will use that as a weapon against us because people find sympathy for y'all that they don't find with us. So, I'm just talking about for my work environment. But either way, like, just seeing this scene all the ways together, not to say that was what Jack was trying to do, but it's almost like ingrained in you to not only force the black kid, but the good kid to suck it up while you cater to the bad white kids and what they going through. So adult Randall, has fractured his wrist after beating up the purse snatcher, and he's really tired. He's not really there at this point. He's emotionally exhausted. So Beth tells him he's a hero and then takes him home and puts him in the bed. Overnight, he's getting all of these messages showing him posts about him being Gotham City hero. I'm like, oh yeah, Randall Batman, Gotham City. The next day, he returns to work with all of this applause and, how does it feel to be a hero? And he just turns around and runs out, goes back home, goes into the bathroom, and he's having like another moment where he just could not be in front of somebody else faking the funk for another damn second. And he gets on the phone and he calls Kevin and he's like, Kevin, I'm not okay. I'm not good. The robber was in our house. He could have touched Beth. He had a knife. He was in our bedroom, like, flipping out. And Kevin is like, okay, calm down. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. What you need me to do? Just tell me what you need me to do. And he's like, just talk to me. Just talk to me about anything. Tell me anything. So Kevin starts to talk to him about what's been going on with Sophie at the funeral. And we see that Sophie is in the bed with him. Okay. So obviously something happened there. Next week, we're going to see this timeline from Kevin's point of view, I'm sure, because of everything that happened with Sophie. But one of the things they showed us during this scene was when Kevin got up as a kid, as a 5-year-old, he gets up, he can't sleep. So Jack says, you know what, bud, why don't you do me a favor and help me out with your brother? And then he brings Kevin in to lay in the bed and comfort Randall so he can get some sleep. I said, okay, I like that. I thought that worked. So yeah, y'all, that was This Is Us. It was good. I kind of like it more when there's more of a, all the ways around focus. But I do realize, sometimes you just got to take one person at a time. We ain't got time to be focusing on 3 different people all at one time. But I did enjoy the episode, and I thought that it depicted what that feels like in such an amazing way. And I just like looking at Sterling K. Brown all day. So that's fine. But I hope y'all enjoyed the review. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all in the next one.